Let me see if I got you some invoice numbers in there.
From a pile under his desk, Fort Worth detective Manny Reyes pulls out a murder file.
It starts small with just a simple police report, maybe a few pictures, and it just snowballs. Yeah, it's 90 C. Charles.
Reyes's cold file bears the name of Jane Thompson. 16 years ago, she was beaten to death, leaving behind her 2 sons, who now want the case reopened.
Cold case, Reyes. The oldest brother called and just wanted to know the status of the case. I didn't know anything about it. I mean, we hadn't even considered looking at that case whatsoever. So after putting them off for a while, I went and got the case, opened it up. It should be under service number 815, last one. The more I read, everything's here. What's wrong here? You know, it just seems to be falling in place as I'm reading the case itself.
One witness statement in particular catches Reyes's eye. It is from Jane's son, Josh Thompson, 2 years old at the time of his mom's murder, and an apparent eyewitness to the crime.
He wasn't being told what to say. Like, Josh, this is what happened, right? And the line of questioning was, what happened? Where is she? You know, and he answered those questions. What I'm going to do is we're going to head towards the location where he said that his mom was hit, left out by some brush and bushes and stuff. And the other part was that it was his dad. Body was found right here. They've closed this street down since then. And then when I looked at the crime scene reports and I saw the crime scene photos, what he was saying was making sense. The body was a few feet away from the actual curb. Obviously, that's where she was killed. There was no signs of her being dragged and, you know, killed elsewhere.
Manny agrees to meet with Josh Thompson and his older half-brother, Val, at Val's house.
Just a question out of curiosity. What made you decide to contact us?
Oh, man, because it never was closed. Wide open, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my little brother was there.
They're like, hey, we know you guys are busy and all, and we're just wondering what the status on our mom's case was.
We felt like we're grown up now, and we had to take care of something that should have been taken care of a long time ago.
For the first time in almost 20 years, Josh tells his story to police.
I remember as soon as we got out the car, they was arguing, and I was in the back seat, of course, so when she let me out the car, she set me down. And they just kept arguing, and he swung and hit her with his hand, just bare fist.
Do you by chance remember what the argument was about?
No.
And the thing is, he didn't come out and tell us, okay, this is the conversation my mom and dad were having that night. This is the location we were at. It wasn't like that at all. He just remembered a certain event that was extremely unusual for a 2-year-old to see. And he hadn't seen it before, and it was real dramatic. And that's what he told us. The reason I remember is because it's the first time I saw my dad hit my mom.
And she fell, and she got up and put her hand in his face, and then he hit her again. Then once that happened, he took an object and he started beating her in the head with it.
And then the next thing I know, I'm back in the car. And for me, I remember it was a purse sitting in my lap. It was my mom's purse, and it was blood on it. And I asked him, where's Mom? And he was like, oh, she's fine. She'll be okay. I'm going to take her to your granny's house. And that was it.
So she never got back in the car?
No. I remember she was surrounded by a whole lot of leaves. I saw her laying on the ground.
And the one shocker of all that I got out of that first meeting was that the day that this happened, when Bobby Woods dropped off his son at the grandmother's, from that on, he had never made contact with him. He just left and abandoned him that one day and never turned back. When did you next see him again?
Never again.
Never seen him again. After that day he came and brought my
He never came back to the grandmother's house?
Never seen him. Didn't see him at the funeral. Didn't see him at any wakes. Didn't see him at any gatherings. Nothing. I mean, it's apparent.
He disappeared for a while.
Disappeared. Forever.
Forever. It is unusual. Too much of a coincidence that the last day your father saw you was that Friday afternoon. Hello, Noella. This is Detective Manny Reyes, Fort Worth Cold Case. I needed to get a 1990 autopsy report.
At the top of Reyes's suspect list is Jane Thompson's boyfriend at the time and Josh's biological father, an ex-convict named Bobby Woods.
It turns out she was last seen on June 5th. Depositions were taken.
Reyes zeroes in on depositions taken between the time of Jane's disappearance and the discovery of her body.
Again, just tell me what you remember from back then.
Man, we had a close relationship at one time.
Reyes unearths a former associate of Bobby Woods, one who claims Bobby confided in him about the murder.
He's critical because he's pretty much witness to what he said. You know, you go out there and you tell people what you did or what happened. You know, you do that, it's going to come back. Let's get to the part of Jane's disappearance.
He told her to turn around, or something like he saw a rabbit or something. He went and got the shotgun. He come back and he told her to turn around, and that's when he hit her in the back of the head with the shotgun.
And the shotgun broke, which is consistent with what the autopsy showed, blunt force trauma to the head.
On a Wednesday afternoon, Detective Manny Reyes prepares to arrest Bobby Woods for murder. Reyes's best piece of evidence, the couple's only child, Josh Thompson, just 2 years old at the time and an alleged eyewitness to the crime.
When you pick him up at work, he knows it's serious. It's a little more serious when somebody shows up at your work than they show up at your home. It's just serious stuff.
Detectives transport the suspect downtown, where Josh is waiting, with half-brother Vol and Vol's fiancée.
Sir, what am I here for? Please.
Bobby, you're in custody, like we've told you before, because of something that happened a long time ago. As a matter of fact, the offense was in 1990. We'll get to more details on that in a little bit. But we are investigating the death of
my wife,
Jane Thompson.
I should have stayed at the fashion boutique with her.
At the where?
It's a fashion boutique.
Fashion boutique?
Boutique.
Okay.
That's when she came up missing it.
At the fashion boutique?
Yes.
Okay.
In 1990, Wood's statement made no mention of a fashion boutique. Instead, he told police that Jane had disappeared when he took her to get food stamps.
It really surprised me. I would have expected him to have rehearsed his story in his mind at least 1,000 times. If I'm ever arrested, if I'm ever questioned again in regards to Jane Thompson, this is the story that I gave, and this is the story I'm going to stick to. And it turned out that he changed it all. What'd you do the rest of that afternoon once you couldn't find her?
Once I could find, I went back across the street with Joshua. We sit there.
His new story turned out now that he spent hours there where he had dropped her off at the boutique. He spent hours there looking for her, walking up and down, checking all the locations. And
then all of a sudden, another shop was closing. And I asked the guy, I said, did you see a black woman wearing a brown shirt and yellow shorts? He said, yeah. He said she was talking with 2 guys. And I said, 2 guys? I said, where did he go? He said they were sitting in a car down here. I said, how long ago? Oh, he said hours ago.
The thing is, if that had really happened, you would have at least brought that up, if not to the family, but to the police back then and say, hey, you need to look for 2 guys in a car because that's where she was last seen. That would have been brought up back in 1990. That would have been investigated in 1990. And of course, he didn't bring any of that up in 1990.
My nephew robbed the place.
Reyes turns the questioning to Wood's criminal past, including his conviction for armed robbery. Woods lays blame for the crime on his nephew.
What kind of weapon did your nephew have then?
He had a short, sawed-off shotgun.
So it was a sawed-off shotgun?
That's what I took from him.
So that was good to know, that we could actually put the possession of a shotgun on him a week prior to the murder. And the day of the murder, we believe the shotgun is what was used to hit her. And you never were told, or you have no idea how she died? You don't know if she was shot or strangled, drowned, anything like that?
No one would tell me nothing.
We had reached the point where I was going to start telling him, okay, now wait a minute. You know, you said this, now it's this. You said this, now it's this. And everything that he had told me was going to be contradicted. Okay, let me go get that statement that you gave back then, and I'll show it to you. See if it'll refresh your memory a little bit.
Can I have an attorney or somebody, because all this is going through and I don't know if I'm going home or what's going on. And you want to show me statements and I don't know what's going on.
No, it's your statement I want to show you.
I know.
The one that belongs to you.
Can I have an attorney to look at it with me? Because right now I don't know what I'm getting into.
So I think he realized, well, what I just said, I don't think it's what I said back then.
What I'm being charged with.
It's murder. So he realized that it wasn't going to be very good after that.
I definitely need an attorney if you think that I killed my wife.
Yes. Bobby?
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I got nothing more to say since you requested a lawyer.
Yes, sir.
But this young man here would like to say a word for you. You remember him?
You know who I am? Come on, you gotta know who I am.
You know his name?
You gotta know me, man.
Boy.
Exactly. It's not Vol. Vol. V-O-L. Yeah.
I think the anger came afterwards when then we found out he was denying it and he was making up stories and stuff like that. That's when the anger came.
I hope this helps you a little bit, one way or the other.
A lot of bit.
At day's end, Bobby Woods sits in a jail cell.